Hello guys, it's Joshua Hawes. As you can tell by the title of the video, we're doing a spoiler review for episodes 1 and 2 of Loki. This is how I'll be reviewing the big Marvel shows going forward, 2 episodes each, 2 episodes at a time, so I can maybe freshen up and do some more stuff. I'm going to be reviewing the Bad Batch as a whole at the end because it's a very kid show episode. It's a good show, but there's not loads to talk about until the end, when all of it kind of comes together. So I feel like it's one of those shows you can't really do a weekly review for. Something like The Mandalorian and stuff you can do because there's developments to the story. But yeah, this video is going to contain spoilers. So if you have not seen Loki, don't watch it unless you just simply do not care about spoilers. Then just keep watching. So the first thing we see is at the start of Loki is that scene from Endgame when, of course, the Avengers had gone from the past and Loki took the Tesseract and vanished. That's the first thing we see. After that, he goes to, I forget the place, it's like this desert country, I've forgotten the name. And while he's there, these almost soldier-like people, who we now know as the TVA, came in and said, on Time Authority, you broke the timeline, you under arrest. And he's very confused. But they hit him, he gets arrested and gets taken to the TVA. And over time, I like these kind of things he's kind of going through. First, he gets caught, and they give over the Tesseract to this guy, and he's like, "What is this?" And Loki's like, "This is the Tesseract, very important." He's like, "Nah, that sounds lame. One of the most powerful things in the world, and it just sounds lame to him." So then they put in the machine. He kind of falls into the code, and then he has to do a lot of funny stuff like signing to confirm this is everything he's ever said. So okay, that was quite funny. Then he went through a machine. It's like, if you're not a robot, this should be fine. But he's like, how do you? I know I'm not a robot. And he's just like, just go for the machine. And he went through the machine. Then when I was waiting to get a ticket. He had to get a ticket, and while I was waiting, it has a little animation of what has happened, why are you here, and it's very nice at summing up. Basically, he broke the timeline. Basically, the timeline was in chaos, so the three keepers of time whatnot put the time together to make one consistent timeline. And if someone breaks that timeline and does something they're not supposed to, it could be simply as drinking some coffee if you weren't supposed to, or being late for work, then you broke the timeline. That can lead to a potentially other outstretch of time to different branches, and then we get the multiverse. And I wonder what that Doctor Strange film's called. Multiverse of Madness. In no way connected to this. Anyway, so I like that animation because it kind of summed up a weird thing easily. And then they went to the court, and Loki's like, I'm not going to kill them. He actually went a good point. It's like, the Avengers went back in time, and he thought it was to try and stop him because he won. But he doesn't know the details. But the Avengers went back in time to just to stop him, in his words. And the person at the court was like, no, that was meant to happen. That was meant to happen. But Loki did come up with a good point. Before he was Morbius, who works there, says, let me have a word with him. And she's like, nah, I don't think so. But she's like, let me have a word with him. So it's okay. So they have discussions. They had this discussion about what makes you Loki. What makes Loki tick. And that kind of interested. They showed a lot of fun stuff, and we find out that Loki's DB Cooper. He did it to get back from a bet he lost to Heimdall and Thor. He just did that. He just went back in time. So went to bid DB Cooper. If you don't know, he's a guy. He's he basically held a plane hostage in America for money and won some parachutes, and the back place opened. He jumped out, and we don't know what happened to him with the parachute and stuff. We don't know if he's dead. We don't know what happened to the money. No, we don't know. It's still an unsolved case to this day. So I think it was quite funny to have Loki be DB Cooper, and he wasn't telling him. He finds the future about how he's kind of got a depressing life. Like, all he is a bad guy whose only purpose in life is to fail and make others look good. and they show scenes where he kind of responsible for his mother's death and stuff. Like, you ask him, does he enjoy killing people? And he's just like, nah. Then one of the soldiers comes in who's not going with this. There's like another batch got attacked. Oh yeah, that's something else happening. Someone's killing a bunch of TVA soldiers when they come in to sort out the timeline. Someone's just attacking them and killing them. So that's why he wants him. And then he comes back. Loki's escaped. He's running wild. He asked the guy to give him his the Tesseract, and he's like, oh, I tell you, I'll gut you out like a fish, and he doesn't even know what a fish is, so it comes with a funny conversation like, I don't even know what a fish is, which is quite funny, but then he realised they just have like 50 odd Infinity Stones, and most of the Infinity Stones, and they just use it for paperweight. So while the world was going into chaos, they had all these Infinity Stones. So they didn't even need to go back and something. Just like, here's the Infinity Stones. I know what you're saying, but that would break the timeline. Well, I don't care. So what? Anyway, that's just something I think was funny. Then he went back to that place and he kind of watched his life and how sad his life is. He even sees his death. It's one of those things that you don't want to see, but you'll be very curious if you knew you could. Then when the soldier comes in to try to stop it, he somehow gets his like restriction collar onto her and just travels him away, because that was quite a funny thing. You can use it to travel. That was a funny thing going on. Then he's just sitting there looking all sad, and then Morbius comes in and he's like, what's going on? And then he answers his question. He's like, I don't enjoy killing people. It's hiding my insecurities to make myself feel better than everyone else. That's the mischief. That's the act. I'm like, have all these Disney Plus shows just become therapy sessions? Like, Wanda's in a therapy session because he lost her boyfriend. Falcon's kind of going through his issues of mentally accepting the fact he's Captain America. Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes was still coping for being the Winter Soldier for 70 years. And just... Is everything in this show just about therapy sessions? Is this... Or all these shows just going to be therapy sessions? What's going to happen with Hawkeye? Is he going to be the first time with all the people he killed because he lost his family? I mean, I might do that. Anyway, so... And then, at the end of the episode, he's like, we need you to stop this variant. Because he's a variant. That's what... He's broke the timeline and he's a variant of Loki. A different variant that shouldn't be there. He's like, we need you to stop a variant. I was like, why do you need me? Because the variant we're stopping is you. And we see a show of them attacking, of this person attacking them. They're hooded, and we don't know where they are. And that's how episode 1 went. And it left with a lot of intrigue. Then we got into episode 2. It was in 1985 in this like weird medieval convention. TVA went there to investigate something. And then Loki comes and kills them, apart from one who mind controlled to kill the others. And then takes that person, because after my god, she's all loopy. She's down and drags and takes her away. And in the entire time in that scene, in the background, we hear, I need a hero. I was just like, okay. Oh sorry, not the camera. I wasn't expecting that, but okay. And then we get to Loki's reading a book about jet skis. We find out more about that later. And she's talking to this animated clock who he mess around with. And then he's like, we have an attack, you're going to come with us to, we're going to come with us to that place where the attack was. And he comes over and he's like, nah, don't leave. And they're about to leave, so they're in I was like, no, don't leave. Don't leave. It's a trap. I know myself, it's a trap. This is very serious. You need to get me to talk to the Time Keys, which he just wants to because he wants to take control. But he's like, he's lying. Let's go. And he's like, you almost got me there. And when he came back, his goal with the next part of the show, because there's nothing to do, is to research all the different variants, discovered variants, and kind of see which one might have done this. That's just his goal, so he understands of it. But then he reads about the case of Ragnarok, which we see in For Ragnarok, the movie. He reads about the case, he thinks, he runs over, and he uses the salad and salt and milk to say, if that timeline, if that situation is going to get destroyed, like Ragnarok, then what we do just before that event doesn't matter. So the variant is hiding just before an apocalypse like just before they're hiding there. So whatever she does, it doesn't break the timeline, and she doesn't get noticed. And she's like, "We're gonna test this." Like, I'm not gonna let you go test this. And they test it in Pompeii. And Loki goes nuts. He like lets some shoot go and say, "Hey, we're from the future. The TVA, the time variants are for you. You're all gonna die." And it didn't work. He was shocked. It didn't work. So and then they do research of where they found him in the year 2050 of Roxcraft is the shop, which I think might have something to do with Roxanne. I think that Marvel thing. I think that's a Marvel thing. I'm hoping I'm not going nuts, but that might have something to do with it. They agreed to let him go to this place. If I'm missing stuff, I'm sorry, but there's a lot that happened in this show. And then they go to this shop, and then we find out, and they kind of split up, and then Loki, the other Loki, controlled the soldier who's with Loki. I was like, "So you're the other Loki, Loki?" And they have this really weird conversation like, "You want to take over the Time Authority? I want that too. That's a good thing." But Loki's like, "That's not what I want." He changes humans. He changes him to beat them up. He's got all these little bombs, which are what time variants use to like change like the like to reset the timeline. So if something has broken the timeline, they need to quickly go take that person out, deal with it, and put a time bomb to reset the timeline as if it never happened, so the timeline can move forward as usual. So that's kind of what's happening. That's kind of what's happening. She has all these bombs set, and then after they have a battle and interaction, and the other soldier get that Mobius, they get around, they try to find Loki, who believe has betrayed him, but we don't know the full situation yet. And then she sets these bombs. The other Loki sets these bombs, who we've now found out is a lady. It's Lady Loki. She's a thing. She's the other variant. So she sets those bombs off, but she has little portal things under all the bombs, so they fall into different places of the timeline and reset and cause absolute chaos. Then she leaves and Loki goes with her, and the TVA is in complete shatters, like in complete shatters, and because you can see just on the machine, like all these different branches. There's so many different branches, and all the soldiers have been sent to try and stop this and restore the timeline, so there's not 50 odd timelines to cause the multiverse. I think they're going to absolutely fail. I just think they cannot succeed at this by the end of the show. When you have a film called Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you have the new Spider-Man film, which is rumours which they're going to bring Spider-Mans from other films, so basically other multiverses. My theory is that they're all going to be variants in the MCU, so Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man will be variants of Spider-Man, just knock something over. So that's something that I just think is going to happen. I'm very interested though to see where the show goes. It's getting really interesting, really enjoyable. We just have to wait and see. It's kind of got me over the fact that I don't like it when they bring back dead characters. It's gotten me over that. I generally do not have anything bad to say. That's it for this review. Let me know in the comments section what you thought of the first 2 episodes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, turn notifications to never miss a video, and see you all in the next one. Bye guys!